Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to jump into the Player's Handbook and continuing my whole teleport theme of the last couple of videos. We're going to take a look at a special version of teleport called Vanish. Vanish is a 7th level spell, range is touch, duration is special, area of effect is special, verbal component only, 2-segment casting time, and no saving throw. When the magic user employs the spell, he or she causes an object to vanish. The magic user can cause the object to be teleported, see the teleport spell, if it weighs up to a maximum of 500 gold pieces, that's 50 pounds, per level of experience of the spellcaster. A 14th level magic user can vanish and cause to reappear at his or her desired location, 7,000 gold pieces or 700 pound weight. Greater objects can be made to vanish, but they are simply placed into the ethereal plane and replaced with stone. Thus, a door can be made to disappear, and it will be replaced by a stone wall of 1 foot thickness, or equal thickness to the door, whichever is greater. The maximum volume of material which can be affected is 3 cubic feet per level of experience. Thus, both weight and volume limit the spell. A dispel magic which is successful will bring banished items back from the ethereal plane. This is an interesting spell, and this is one I think where the players wanted something to get loot home. You found that big, gorgeous statue, that 500-pound solid gold statue at some evil temple, and you say, hey, we can sell this thing for at least, 5,000 gold pieces. Let's take a look here. Let's decide what we want to do. Well, let's vanish it. We'll make it disappear here and reappear at the Mage's Sanctum, and then we'll divvy it up later. So, as implied in the spell, but not expressly stated, but absolutely how I run it at my table, that you have to use the teleport spell, miss teleport dice rolls. So you throw the dice, and if it's an area that's well known, you have very little chance of coming in high or low. If it's an area that's not well known or never seen before, you can end up with a lot of problems with it coming in high or coming in low and being destroyed, and just lots of stuff like that. But like I said, I think this was intended more to get loot out of the dungeon than anything else, and it's an interesting spell in that regard. I have racked my memory and even talked to my wife a little bit, who has been a player in my campaign since 81, and asked her if she remembered anybody using Vanish, including herself. She plays a lot of magic users. And she couldn't, but I could. At one of the old club that we used to belong to in the early 80s, I had a player where they came across this big idol in the evil temple, and they didn't necessarily care about the value because it was mostly carved stone, but he wanted to kind of shove it in everybody's face of the evil worshippers. I can do stuff to ruin your worship. So he went ahead and he vanished the idol and replaced it with ethereal stone. It was just ethereal stone, but the way I had it is it doesn't say that the stone retains the shape or anything, so I just done a fly ruling, said, okay, it just looks like a chunk of stone. For all they know, you changed the statue, which you did, into a chunk of stone, or you stole it and replaced it with this chunk of stone. Either way, the evil bad guy worshippers were incensed that their idol had been messed with, and the player characters had some fun, and combat ensued, and it was a typical D&D game. But other than that, I cannot think of a time I have seen the Vanish spell used. By the way, at the use that I did see, I actually checked the player's sheet, and he had the spell written down. It was an odd choice, but it was on his sheet. And then, as far as their example of the door being made to disappear, I was confused by that. I am, every time I read it, why a door would be beyond the weight or size limitations of this. The only thing I could think of is they were thinking maybe in terms of a secret door. Maybe the secret door is considered part of the wall. So now you've gone ahead and you've removed the secret door and you've just put a wall in its place. I think that's what they were getting at, but that's not really what it says here. So kind of interesting that even after all these years, there's still a question as to what they really meant by that. But I don't dwell on that too much. I go by the earlier stuff of the 50 pounds per level, and then the area of effect, which is 3 cubic feet per level of experience. So pretty good sized area you're going to be able to affect, and a lot of weight. You're probably going to run out of weight, with the weight before you are with the area of effect. But we have some legacy characters, what we call the mega level, who have been around forever, who are up in levels where they might actually start taking this spell because they have more than one 7th level spell slot. And by the way, you have to be 14th level to get this spell initially, and there's a lot better 7th level spells to use than this one. Again, I was surprised at that club meeting years ago where the player actually used it and had chosen it for his character. But an interesting spell, just in keeping with the teleport, because I always like the idea of teleporting an object home ahead of you, and then you can go ahead and claim it. Now, the question also became, just in conversation, not in practice, if you were to vanish a treasure chest, would all the parts in the treasure chest go with? At my table, yes. I'm not going to quibble that much about the fact that it's more than one part being sent. However, if a person were to crawl into the chest, you close the chest and then go, no, the chest would vanish, the person would be there, or the spell would fail. It would really depend on the dynamic and how we were playing that night, that kind of stuff. That would be something I would decide on the fly. Not likely to be a problem I've had, since I remember encountering this spell once in 45 years of play. But who knows, down the line, maybe it will be something I'll have to think about. But let me know how you've used Vanish at your table. If you've used Vanish at your table, if you've ever even seen this spell used, let me know. Also, take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please tell your friends. Still trying to grow the channel. And that's all I've got today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.